Alright, ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone out there on this Thursday, June the 4th, 2020? Welcome to another Metallic episode, Music of Destruction, right here on YouTube, bringing you the best in metal-related content. Welcome to Album Review Tuesdays here on the channel, and yeah, I know it's Thursday, but I have not had any time to get any content out until today. And hey, if you guys missed anything in the last week, just click the eye in the upper right corner of the screen and get caught up on all my latest videos. I would really appreciate it. So, today's review is of something I've been waiting quite a while to bring you. One of my favorite one-man black metal bands with Striborg-Spiritual Catharsis. This edition was released in 2007 on Displeased Records and is a reissue, which is fine with me. Originally released in 2004 on Fisternus Productions on a 12-inch vinyl with alternative artwork. I'm sure you've seen that if you're familiar with Striborg's releases. Now, Striborg is a one-man black metal project formed in 1997 by Sin-Nanna, real name Russell Menzies. Now, the interesting thing to me about Striborg is how prolific Sin-Nanna is with his releases. Now, whether or not some of these releases hold up to others or not is entirely up to the listener, of course. And that's really how Striborg's music is, honestly. I mean, you either love him or you hate him. I obviously belong to the group of freaks who love his music for various reasons. Now, Sin-Nanna also made an appearance on the 2012 documentary One Man Metal, which featured Striborg, Zaster, and Leviathan, not in that order, of course, which aired on the Vice channel. Now, what's really ironic to me is some of the comments that Sin-Nanna, or Russell, made after the documentary film was completed. He went on to say that he wasn't really comfortable with Vice going into his house and interviewing him, though I don't really know how else they were supposed to conduct interviews with Malefic, Rest, and Sin-Nanna, as doing interviews in their homes was the only appropriate thing, considering the three of them are major isolationists, of course. But let's get into the review of Spiritual Catharsis. Now, the album opens with a really cold instrumental guitar passage called Grief and Trepidation. And this cold guitar-driven track sets the tone for what this album is comprised of, which is dark, ice-cold, almost no-fi production and blackened melancholy with a cloak of misanthropy draped over it for good measure. Guys, this is not an easy album to digest. It's not easy music to listen to. But again, it's black metal. I mean, what the fuck are you expecting here? Next, we have Within the Depths of Darkness and Sorrow, which opens with one of the coldest guitar sounds I've ever heard on a metal album. And it goes on for about 1 minute before the drums and keyboards kick in with an intense shriek/scream from Sin-Nanna, of course. The double bass drum work gives you a strong sense of being in the forest while hearing the voice of nature speak to you as the keyboarding and vocals pull you into its black gaze of solitary bliss and despair-filled isolation. The guitars are so fucking raw that they might as well resemble either a frozen blizzard or ice-cold wind, because there are no actual riffs to be found here, and they give me the impression that they are meant to instill nothing but hatred with absolutely no regard for your listening pleasure. And after all, that's what Striborg is. This is not music for the common lax music lover, or even anybody that enjoys, I'd say, thrash or death metal, as black metal is on a completely different level, and it takes a certain mindset to really understand where black metal is coming from, as this kind of music is something that is pure expressionism and isn't really meant for common people, like people who might be watching this video. However, if you're a fan of black metal, then Striborg is definitely something you're going to want to get. However, if you can understand the emotional aspects of this art, then you will come to terms with how lo-fi or almost no-fi this production is, and why Sin-Nanna chose to make his music sound so ugly and unpleasant. The directions that this art takes you in is difficult to summarize in a 10 to 15 minute review, because the emotional depth and scope of what's being recorded here, along with what Sin-Nanna puts into his music, has to really be heard and experienced to be fully comprehended. Most will likely laugh off a lot of what this album contains within its black walls of despair and misanthropy, But like I said before, this is exactly what the goal of Sin-Nanna's music is. And the atmospheric texture of the guitar is so fucking thin that you will wonder what the fuck is going on within its compositional blizzard of blast beats, dark keyboard compositions, and cold guitar windy blizzards of the guitar that will freeze your skin and soul in a goddamn instant. One thing I will also mention here is the album's duration. You've got 71 minutes of atmospheric black metal / ambient, but I mean, why would you want it any other fucking way? Seriously, what do you look for in your metal if it's not honest expression and a deep sense of meaning and connection? I don't know how anyone can be into music that has no depth, but I guess that's just me, and a lot of other people who enjoy this kind of music, of course. Black metal to me is the most honest genre of metal, as many of you know, especially the one-man or one-woman projects, where it's not about notoriety or success, but it's about pure expressionism and cathartic release. Now, most of this album follows the production of the first 2 tracks. We have Beneath the Fields of Rapacious Blood coming after Within the Depths of Darkness and Sorrow, and instantly the atmosphere and music picks up almost identical to the aforementioned track. Yes, there are differences here in the keyboard and drum work, obviously, but these ice-cold, wind-filled guitars are back and never lets up until the second half of the record. Now, this track is very unsettling, however, and to me it feels like a deep trip into Sin-Nanna's poisoned, melancholic world where hopelessness and hatred for mankind dominate. I also read that Spiritual Catharsis was created in response to his father's death, and this is exactly what a great majority of the album sounds like. Pure unadulterated hatred and despair that almost feels like you're trapped in a nightmare of the most intense darkness that one could conjure up in the imagination. Now, this music is going to leave you cold and breathless, and it really doesn't let up during the album's entire 71-minute duration, I should say. Glorification of Mother Nature is next, and it's a very ghostly apparitional piece of dark ambience that reminds me of traveling through a spiritual forest at night, void of anything mortal whatsoever. This is the sound of the apparitional void of the afterlife, if you will, with a strong emphasis on the connection to nature that Sin-Nanna is so close with, and is one of the reasons that he created Striborg. Next, we have the title track, Spiritual Catharsis, which has a bit better of a production and actually has a few discernible riffs buried beneath its blizzarding ice-cold speed and drumming, with a lead guitar passage along with Sin-Nanna's bone-chilling cold vocals buried beneath the fucking reverb, of course. The vocal effects on this track give an extremely cold and otherworldly atmosphere, and the drumming is so bombastic and insanely twisted with its peaks and valleys of emotional darkness and misanthropic despair that it oftentimes seems unfathomable that this is actually music. I will reiterate here that this isn't actually meant to be construed as music for the common lax music lover, as I said before. It is pure art. The keyboards, drumming, and Sin-Nanna's vocals are the stars of the show, so to speak, with the guitar riffing taking a strong back seat and providing more of an intense introspective atmosphere because of how thin and raw the guitars were produced and mixed to begin with. This is one hell of a fucking album, ladies and gentlemen, and one that I would not overlook if you're a fan of extreme metal by any means. The next half of the album is a mix of dark ambience and foreboding structured textures of misanthropic darkness and suicidal anguish, blanketed and drenched in Sin-Nanna's loathing for mankind and the cathartic release of the grief from the loss of his father. The instrumentation gives way to extreme waves of black emotional hell and confused perceptions due to extreme solitude and extended periods of wallowing in misery and misanthropic visions of genocide and the annihilation of mankind. And I can't really see many people enjoying Striborg's music for the reasons that I've outlined in this review. However, I do know there are fans of this kind of dark music that aren't going to misunderstand what this music's about and really appreciate Striborg for what he does. Next up, we have The Haunted Gum Trees, and what a title. We've got another black ambient piece with an atmosphere that begs one to experience it, of course. But let me just say that this is extremely dark and foreboding, as much of the record is as a whole. Next, we come into Misanthropic Necroforest, which is a whirlwind of hate and chaos that has that thin tin wall of guitars blizzarding across your skin like shards of ice that cover blades of hatred that rip you to fucking shreds, and that's exactly what this track does, of course, and the entire album is like that. And this is getting rather difficult to summarize, but I'm doing my best here. Next is Dixana Antarctica, and this is where the production improves a little bit, but you can still hear more of the guitar work, and it seems this record takes on a different atmosphere here, almost like being inside a black cave of cavernous despair, and it really shows all over the last half of this record. These ambient breaks in the metallic blizzard of chaos and misanthropy almost serve as a calming period before picking back up into the dark black metal chaos once again that this album is comprised of. So let's check out the radiance of hate emanating from within right here on Music of Destruction. And yes, we are back, and this is a song of extreme misanthropic expression, with the vocals being so shrill and drenched in reverb that it makes it hard to listen to them. However, the production on the last few songs make up for the no-fi production of the first half of the record. But make no mistake about it, this production is only improved enough to make out the riffing and darkness within its walls. Though the guitar tone is thicker, the melancholic hatred is much deeper, I feel, for sure, on this half of the album. The first half was more of a detachment from reality, detachment from life, more solitary, so to speak, I guess you could say. Now, Striborg is definitely the black sheep within the world of black metal, and not many will like his music, and I'm just fine with that. Now we come to the final verdict for Striborg's Spiritual Catharsis, and I'm going to give this album a 10 out of 10, because this is atmospheric misanthropy, despair and melancholy and isolation wrapped in a journey to the brink of madness that is well worth taking. And hey, if you're new, please subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss anything. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Search Music of Destruction there. Join the Facebook group for all things metal, facebook.com/groups/music of destruction. Come hang out with us. Get access to exclusive content by becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/music of destruction. The Seed episode number 22, The History of Dio, is coming up Monday, June the 8th, 2020, so be ready for that. And thank you for your ongoing support on Patreon. Shoutouts to Shadows of Death Records. Go to his website, check out all of his newest bands. Sight of Luna with their track Requiem. Going to be interviewing them hopefully once they get their album completed with Gale. Shoutouts to Pissing Razors in Texas, Voodoo Stomp, Metal Ben's Chronicles, King of Swords, Backwoods Metal, and Heavy Metal Networks. Thank you very much for watching today. Have yourselves a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.